We are on with Sean Self from Guru Gun Stands, gurugunstands.com. Sean, what's up? How you doing, yo?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks you very much for having me on the show.
Cool. Thanks for being on. Now, I have put together what you've sent me in, which is this beautiful gun stand here, and one of the only problems is I know that you made it so that it was just idiot proof. But it's not mighty idiot proof. Now, I'm afraid I'm back in shop class again, and I have extra parts, and I don't know if that's good or bad. Now tell me first about this stand, and then we'll get back to whether I really effed anything up or if it's just like you give me some extra ninja stars or what. So.
No, what that is actually that was the Pro 09 stand, which is there's two different models. There's this one, and then there's this one. I just didn't have no rails to send you, so I just went ahead and just stuck them both in the same package with one set of rails.
Okay. Now I was like, oh shit, what am I doing? Is this like some fucking like ninja batleth? And I'm like I don't know. Maybe Sean sent me like some clue, and I got to be like, if you can decipher the code, and I don't know, and I think I just utterly failed. It just looks like some really bad sculpture thing. It's about
that's
represents
totally
man's
two segment stands.
Humanity towards man.
So.
Perfect. Sweet. Now, let's just start off with the history of Guru Gun Stands. Now, you just didn't do this yesterday, and you've been doing this a while. This is what you sent me is version number.
Yeah, here's number one. This was the first prototype. And then it went to this. And then it went to the wooden one. And then it went to this one. And then now we have the brand new one, which is this one.
Sweet.
So this is pretty much, this first one right here was in 2000. It was just a wall mount. Back when I had my autococker, had it all chromed out. I wanted something to display it with. So you just mount this on here and it's kind of just set on the wall like that.
Sort of like you went out a hunting and you came back with an ego.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then what happened was I was making these for a while, and it was just so hard because you had to have a different one for each gun and everything. So you had like 27 different models for it. And then people were like, "Oh, well, if I put my tank on there, it falls off of it." I'm like, "Okay, so we're gonna have to do something about that." So then I came out with this one. But the only downfall of this one is I didn't have the two pieces for the tank, so that the gun just falls right off the stand.
Oh, especially if you have like a hopper full of paint or something like that on it.
Oh, yeah. And also, this isn't too collapsible to fit in your gear bag for traveling. So, I didn't really, so this was pretty much like the house model. I got pretty elaborate with it. I mic'd it, put lacquer and everything on there.
Nice.
And then I was sitting there trying to figure out how to make it collapsible. Racking my brain. Got a couple different kinds of materials that started breaking. So luckily, since I own a sign shop, I had a plastic engineer come in. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm a plastic engineer." I'm like, "Really? I got a project for you." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need a plastic. It won't break." So luckily, he sent me a sample of this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." So I got it, and I was like, "Oh, it's indestructible?" I'm like, "How is it indestructible?" He's like, "He's just work." I'm like, yeah. So I started using this. Only downfall was, with the economy going the way it did, the manufacturer's plastic went out of business.
Oh.
So I was pretty upset, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So luckily, there's another company that makes a similar plastic, which is what I'm using in this one. And then it's a little bit cheaper, so that's why this one's 55, which is the Pro Color ones. And the new one is, we're selling it for $36, because the plastic right here you can actually look at it. It has like pores to it, so it has like air pockets. It's called light. You can still bend it, but I wouldn't recommend doing what I just did with that black piece with it, because it will probably break. And then I'm using PVC for the uprights, which will also made it a little bit more cost effective, so that way I could bring the price down quite a bit with it. And then also it's a lot less plastic, where the this one has a barrel rack on the side, because that way you can go ahead and put your extra barrels. You can put your backs here, or your tips, or you can put your 16-inch barrel on there. So that way, when you're playing in the morning, you know how the paintballs swell. You can go ahead and have all your barrels just sitting there, ready to go. And then I was hanging around World Cup, and I noticed no one's using tank covers anymore. I don't know why, but so then I started using this rubber on the back of the gun stands. And what's cool about the rubber is it actually grabs the tank. So now you don't have to worry about the gun falling off the stand, which is pretty cool. You can pretty much so you don't have to worry about the gun falling off of it like it did on the older ones, where it just loops right off.
I think I might have seen one of those where someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's great." Like, don't put your hopper on it. It's like the thing was like
exactly like the X stand. It's like that. And we got in a fight at World Cup. It was pretty fun.
Now, somebody was asking, Peter North was asking on the chat board, he has a modded out X7 that is heavy as F, decked out like an HK416. So what about your stands? These are more for tourney space guns than big honking hunks of metal.
Actually, what's cool is I'm working on one for the Tippmanns. The only thing is it's going to be another like 12 inches longer. And it has, because the Tippmanns have that 15-degree pitch on the tank, I'm trying to come up with like a backstop and a turning point, and then the two rails are going to hug the tank, so it's going to stop it from rotating. And then I had to figure out what I'm going to do with the flatline barrels, with all the other barrels for them. So it's just a little bit more tricky to figure it out. I might go back to something kind of like this, but it kind of will interlock like this. That way you can actually have the points kind of grab around the piece, because the people have the stocks on them and they don't have the tanks, and then they have the different stocks. So it's really hard to come up with one for the Tippmanns, but I am in the process of doing it.
That's badass. Now you're thinking, you're forward thinking. Now, it's true though that they don't really carry a lot of the tank covers anymore, and I just got some from Exalt, and I know that NXE came out with a new tank cover, and I'm hoping to get a couple in soon. But what they said with theirs is people stopped using them because they don't have that tactile feeling anymore, because if they're made out of plastic or whatever, they just sort of slip off and they don't snug in really tight. So they made it so that you can take the back off, so you can have like the first half be covered, and then you can just take the Velcro part off, and you can snug your tank still up against the crook of your shoulder and still get that nice tight feeling to it too. So
exactly, just like the crowns, and there's that other one. It's pretty cool. I saw at Cup, because there's definitely a lot of cool products. And what's cool is if you do use one of those, with this being PVC rubber here, it grabs that, and that tank does not go anywhere. So you don't have to worry about your ego falling off the stand. You don't have to worry about anything like that, because that's another thing. It just sucks when you put a $2,000 paintball gun on there, and you put it on there, it goes, and it hits the ground, and you're like, okay, what's the purpose of doing that? So
what was great is I went through, and when I was over at the USPL event, unfortunately, I was doing some video work live on the field, and the game was over, and it's almost over, like one guy against like three, and they're all swarming up, and as I back up, I turn around, and my backpack nicks the side of where all the dead players' markers are, and it was like a bad effing Chevy Chase movie, like, I was like, oh, and all the dead players were like, it's like, and they all ran out and grabbed him. They're like, "Oh, my baby!" I was like, "I'm gonna go now." But see, if they would have used Guru gun stands for the USPL, they wouldn't have had that problem.